Mr. Ahmed here, section 1.5, part 2. Still working with angles, but we're actually going to work with an angle bisector and the angle addition postulate. Again, the angle addition postulate is going to be fairly obvious. The angle bisector is a little bit more challenging, and it's super important. We already talked about a segment bisector, and an angle bisector is very similar. Instead of cutting a segment in half, we are going to cut an angle in half. So bisector cuts angle, that's a bad U, in half. Okay, so it divides it into two equal parts. So in this case, we have angle XYZ, that's the big one, and the ray YW cuts the angle in half. So when two angles are congruent, again, we use tick marks at the vertex. So in this case, you see these two tick marks are here. That means that angle XYW is congruent to angle WYZ. So like angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent. Okay, so those tick marks are there. If the tick marks are not located in the diagram, you need to add them in. All right, so if you know two angles are congruent for some reason, we want to add those to the diagram. So first example says, in the diagram, it says ray BC. So here's ray BC. It bisects angle ABD. So I'm going to highlight ABD. In this one, it's pretty obvious because there's only one angle there. But this green angle is being cut in half by the ray. So we see that it's already marked with two tick marks. And since it's already marked with these two tick marks, that means that the top angle is congruent to the bottom one. So like I said, highlighted in green, ray BC cuts it in half. So it's marked with two congruent pieces. Again, when we have to solve for x, we have to set up an equation. Well, what's equal? The top angle is equal to the bottom one. So 4x plus 31 is equal to x plus 46. Now I just need to solve. First step, round up the x's. Subtract x both sides. 3x plus 31 is equal to 46. Subtract our 31, and that's 15. So 3x is equal to 15. And when we divide by 3, x is equal to 5. If you have any trouble with the solving equations, I'm going to really pick up the pace when we start solving these from really here on out. If you need extra assistance on that, please ask, and we can work on some solving steps. But for the most part, we're kind of flying through those, all right? So we solve for x. Next step, we're supposed to find angle ABC, so I have to plug x back in. When I plug x back in, 4 times 5 is 20, plus 31, that's 51 degrees. So the measure of angle ABC is equal to 51 degrees. And we're also supposed to find ABD. Well, let's see here. This one's also 51 degrees. So the entire thing, this is the angle addition postulate. We have to add the two parts to get the whole. So 51 plus 51 is 102. So the angle addition postulate is pretty obvious. Add the two parts together. And that's the measure of angle ABD. So we found both pieces. All right, next one. No picture drawn. It says QS bisects angle PQR. So I need to draw this picture out. There's too many P's, too many Q's, too many S's for me to just set this up. So QS is bisecting PQR. So I need to draw angle PQR. Doesn't matter how you draw it. So here's PQR. All right. QS cuts it in half. So Q to S, that's a ray, and these two are equal, so I'm going to put tick marks in since it cut it in half. Alrighty, it says PQS is 24 degrees, so I'm putting 24 inside PQS. Notice PQS is the top part. I'm going to trace it out again. So PQS was right here. Highlight it. That part's 24. If that part's 24, those two little angles were equal. This is also 24. And we're supposed to find PQR. Highlight PQR. Where is it? PQR. That's the whole angle. So we have to add the two parts. 24 plus 24 is 48. One little notation piece, you're kind of seeing this little M in front of the angle. That stands for measure. When I'm saying that the angle is equal, I need to put the M in front to say that the measure of the angle is equal to. I can't just say angle PQR is equal to something. Its measure is equal to something. So there's a little bit of notation differences there. All right. Next step. It says QS bisects PQT. So here we have QS, and it bisects PQT. So I'm going to highlight PQT again. All right. So P to Q to T, make it stand out. PQT. So that green one, I traced it. Identify where it is. QS cuts it in half. That means that these two are equal, so I need to put in the tick marks. They were not there. It says PQT is 60. Well, that's that green angle again, PQT. That's the same exact thing. So if the whole thing is 60, how much is each little part? Well, if they're both equal, 60 divided by 2 is 30. So each little angle here is 30 degrees. Okay? The next part says PQS is 4x plus 14. So PQS is 4x plus 14. And it says to find the value of x and SQR. So first I need to find x. So if PQS is 4x plus 14, PQS, identify it. That means 4x plus 14 has to equal 30. And then we'll solve. So minus 14, 30 minus 14 is 16. So 4x equals 16, and x is equal to 4. We found x. And lastly, it says to find SQR. So S to Q to R. This one takes a little bit of a look in here, but what can I infer that PQR is? Does it look like a straight line? Yes, indeed it does. So it's 180 degrees. So for me to find SQR, highlight SQR in yellow. Okay, SQR is getting highlighted in yellow. There it is. I'm looking for 180 minus 30. So it has to be 150. (180) minus 30 is equal to 150 degrees. So, like we said, that angle addition postulate is kind of naturally inferred, hence why it's a postulate. It doesn't need to be proven. It's very obvious. We're going to go over that next. And just to make it formal, the angle addition postulate just states that if a point is in the interior of an angle, then I can add the two parts to get the whole thing. So angle RST, that's the whole thing. I'll highlight that in my black pen. The whole angle is equal to the two parts added together. So angle RSP, that's this top one, plus the bottom one, which is angle PST. So I'm going to highlight the bottom one in yellow. So added the two parts together to get the whole thing. All right. So these next couple examples don't really involve us setting up an equation where we use the bisector. We have to look at the entire diagram. So here we go. Number one says find the value of x and angle ULY. So x and ULY if angle ALY is equal to 71. So we need to identify what ALY is. ALY, highlighted in green, is the entire angle. So the entire angle, ALY, 71, is equal to the two parts added together. So 71 equals 2x plus 5x plus 8. Combine like terms. 7x plus 8 equals 71. Subtract the 8, and we get 63 equals 7x. X is equal to 9. So we found x. We're also supposed to find ULY, so I have to plug x back in. For the most part, when I'm plugging them back in, I'm doing that in my head. 5 times 9 is 45 plus 8. 45 plus 8 gets us 53. So this angle's 53 degrees when I put x back in. Labeling it out, measure angle ULY is equal to 53 degrees. Okay. Next one says, find the measure of angle 2 if YJK is 160. We're missing a Y here, so you need to add point Y right down there. Okay, point Y got erased, so that's why I had to finish that in. So the whole angle, YJK, is 160. So for me to find angle 2, well, if the whole thing's 160, I would take 160, and that's equal to angle 2, measure angle 2, plus 42 plus 104. So I have to subtract 42 and 104 from both sides. So 160 minus 104 minus 42. I'm subtracting them in one step, and I get 14. All right, last one. No picture here, so I have to draw out the diagram. Okay, this is just too difficult without a picture. If I start reading this, I have point E, HGF, HGF, EGF, HGE, too many H's, too many G's, draw it out. So E is in the interior, point E, of HGF. So HGF is the big angle. I'm going to start with that. Draw it fairly big so you have plenty of room. So HGF. Now notice, I don't really know what type of an angle it is. I don't know if it's acute. I don't know if it's obtuse. I just drew a random angle. Point E is somewhere in the interior. Here's point E. All right, connect G and E. And we have angle HGF. So HGF, that's the entire angle. That's 16x plus 4. I can't really label that with that piece in between, so I'm going to come back to this one and putting a star by it. EGH is 110, so EGH, top one, 110. And HGE, the bottom one, I made an error. I have to backtrack. Made a mistake. My fault. Angle, EGF. That's the bottom one. I labeled it as the top one. So EGF is 110. That was incorrect. Gonna erase it. I'm gonna cross it off. And the top one, angle HGE, is 3x plus 11. There we go. So I kind of caught my mistake when I was trying to label that second angle twice, so I went back and double checked. Okay, so if you run into that, it can happen. Lots of letters there. You'll kind of run across how you made an error at some point in that problem. So setting up my equation, the entire angle, I had to come back to that. The whole thing was HGF. I can't say these two parts are equal. Nothing told me that they were. It wasn't bisected. So the entire thing, HGF, is 16x plus 4. And that's equal to the two parts added together. So 3x plus 11 plus 110. Now I can solve. All right, let's combine like terms. 3x plus 121 equals 16x plus 4. All right, subtract our 3x. And I got 13x plus 4 equals 121. Subtract my 4. 13x equals 117. And then divide 13. 117 divided by 13 is 9. And we were only supposed to find the value of x. I didn't have to plug it back in. Problem is complete. And that's all we got for today. Have a great one.